It's you.
On today's episode, we break down the biggest moments in sports from the last month of action and debate some of the hottest topics in the sports world. We'll talk a loaded national championship game on Monday, dive into the NFL playoffs, and recap some of the sports that we missed over the break. We'll talk highlights, lowlights, trivia, and even pick some games. All this and more on the 1-0 Sports Show.
We're going to have an exciting show. We're going to talk about the NFL divisional round and what we expect from it. We talk about Texas's inconsistent starting Big 12 play for men's basketball. We'll finish with some talk about our women's basketball team. So we got a packed show today.
I got to go the other way. You know, Texas A&M, they got a lot of identity issues. Are they an agricultural school? Are they military? Are they blue collar? Are they academics? They're all over the place. So
now, I'm always a sucker for a one-handed catch. I have tiny hands. I need 3.
The season, they were about to be the 1 seed if they win that game in Detroit. Instead, Darnold, he's looked like a deer in headlights. Defenses have shown when you put pressure on him in that weak offensive line, he misses throws. He can't evade the pocket. He's immobile. And he's looking a lot more like that old Darnold that we used to see years ago. We thought he was back, and now we don't even know what the Vikings' plan is going to be going into the offseason. We don't know if they're going to stick with Darnold. We don't know if they're going to want to go with J.J. McCarthy, but Darnold, not been hot.
You got to wonder, has he been seeing those ghosts again?
I think he has.
I think he has. Okay, my who's not, we're going to go with the entirety of the Pittsburgh Steelers organization. There's been a lot of talk about the Steelers as of late because they were firmly in the lead in the AFC North. They lose the last 5 in a row in the regular season, and then they go against the Baltimore Ravens in what should have been, I mean, they beat the Ravens earlier in the year. This should have been a game that they should have been competitive in, and they weren't. They laid an egg, and it wasn't even like any one particular player had a particularly bad day. Russell Wilson didn't have the worst day, no interceptions, 2 touchdowns, 270 yards. But he wasn't dynamic enough, and that defense was just awful. I mean, they had 1 sack, no interceptions. You see, they just let Derrick Henry run right all over them. They have not won a playoff game since January of 2017. That's 8 years that they have not won a playoff game. You have to wonder, what is going on that is causing them to keep being mediocre in the playoffs? What happened in the locker room, in the culture, that caused them to have such a dramatic flip in the middle of the season? Does it have to do with Mike Tomlin? Does he need to be thought about possibly being let go? That's the debate that I think should be going on in their front office, because as of late, it has not been a good time for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they can mask it as much as they want with a winning record and that Mike Tomlin streak happening. But no one cares about your regular season accolades. It's about the playoffs, and they have not performed there in almost a decade.
Yeah, it feels like just about every year that they get dumped off in the wild card round, lose by like 20.
The last time they won a playoff game was against Kansas City back when their starting quarterback was Alex Smith.
Wow. Well, now moving next into what's trending this Monday. The Ohio State Buckeyes and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish will face off in Atlanta for the national championship game. Who will be hoisting that trophy at the end of the night, Tyler?
I'm going to go with Ohio State. I think that Ohio State-Texas game, whoever won that game was going to go win the national championship, but I'm going to stay firm to that. Ohio State played a complete game. Their offense was very hard to contain. Their defense was easy in terms of containing the other offense. Jeremiah Smith is one of the best wide receivers in the country. Will Howard proved that as an Ohio State Buckeye, he was better equipped to make throws because their offensive line is just better and their team is overall better than when he was at Kansas State. I think they're a more complete team than Notre Dame. I think as long as their defense holds Notre Dame's running game and their offense down, Ohio State's offense can keep them in the competitive. I think they're just a more complete team. I think it's going to be Ohio State taking that championship, and that weight gets taken right off of Ryan Day's shoulders.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. I'm going to take the Buckeyes as well. They cruised through the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. They were winning games through the air, that incredible wide receiver core. And then against Texas, they showed they can win a more gutsy, grinded-out game on the ground, defensive stops. They showed that they can this offense can beat you so many different ways. You have that receiver core with Jeremiah Smith, Emeka Egbuka, Carnell Tate. They have the 2-headed monster of Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson. Will Howard has been greatly improved throughout this playoffs. and a really underrated defense that I think gets overlooked a lot because of how good this offense is. This Ohio State team has very little weaknesses. They can beat you so many ways, and I think they're such a complete team. I think it's hard to see them losing this game.
Absolutely. All right. Now going in, we saw the first round of the NFL playoffs kicking off with not much fanfare. We saw domination from home teams. What is your biggest takeaway from the first round of the NFL playoffs?
I think it's that everyone who we thought was the real threats going into this postseason, they were the real threats. I think we've got about 4 or 5 teams now that can really contend for this championship. It's top heavy. Everyone else, it's not so much. That first round really just showing how much better some of those top teams in the league are than some of the other teams. I mean, we had one close game really in that wild card weekend, and I think that weekend really just showed that just thinning off some of the fat, and upcoming this divisional and championship weekend will really show who should be hosting that Lombardi.
Yes. I think what's really important is there's been a debate lately over how important is winning a division. And I think what we proved this weekend is extremely important. It is extremely important that you win that division and get that home field advantage in your wild card game. You cannot account for that in the stacks, but having home field and having your crowd behind you has shown to be really effective. In every situation, the home team won, except in that close game against with the Commanders against the Buccaneers. I don't think there were any real upsets in the wild card round, honestly. I could have picked the Commanders to beat the Buccaneers. I think that wasn't a controversial pick. Anyone with home, I mean, there was an upset, I guess, with the Texans and the Chargers, but again, they had home field advantage. I think the debate over whether there should be divisions in the wildcard round, there should be, because there's something to winning your division that gives you an advantage. You can win as many games as you want in the regular season, but if you haven't won your division, you have not done the one thing that guarantees you that home field, and I think that that's really important. And I think I agree with Dylan. Wildcard teams, they're written off for a reason. Now we have 8 teams. Whittle those down further. Now we're going to have some real competition. Juggernauts against juggernauts to see who's going to hoist that Lombardi. And it's no longer going to be just, oh, someone's at home field, they're more likely to win. It's no longer basically a week 19. Now we're really, really in the playoffs, I think.
Yeah, I can't agree more. So that will do it for the first block. Coming up next, we've got highlights in the next block. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back. Welcome back to the Want to Know Sports Show. Up now, we've got highlights, and we've got Joe Duffy, our guest here, to help us pick who's got the best highlights of the day. Up first, we have the best bowl or college football playoff play. My pick, Quinn Ewers, 4th and 13, season on the line against Arizona State. Down the field, finds Matthew Golden in the end zone, season on the line, and he comes through. Quinn Ewers marking his stamp as an all-time Texas Longhorn. And Matthew Golden coming through, 4th and 13, blitz coming. They read it, they pick it up, and they find Golden in the end zone, saving the season and eventually getting that win against Arizona State. What a play. I'm not going to lie. I thought that game was over, but when Quinn found Golden, my heart was okay, and I was so happy, and we got the win.
Yeah, what a play that was.
What a play. I mean, seriously, the heart out of chest by that point in the game. I'm going to go a round beforehand. We're going to go to the first round game against Clemson. I think it's amazing that there is a college football playoff at a home stadium. That should have been happening the whole time, and I think that's partly what this is. Jaden Blue in the fourth quarter, taking it to the house 77 yards with the entirety of the DKR crowd rumbling and jumping and screaming behind him. It's one of the best atmospheres that you can be in. A college football crowd where every single person in the crowd is jumping. Jaden Blue icing that game with that 77-yard run into the touchdown. I think it's just it's an incredible play. It's a great way to ice a game, and it's really awesome to have a crowd fully being behind you. I think it's the best atmosphere we saw in the playoff.
Yeah, I mean, FCS fans are saying, we've been doing this for a while, right? Y'all are finally catching up in the FBS.
Yeah.
So how cool was that to actually have a playoff game hosted in your stadium? That was a great play, but I don't know if I respect the Clemson run D to really like that play that much. I'm going to go with Dylan here with that play because of the stakes. Of course, like he was saying, I thought that game was over in the Peach Bowl. 4th and 13, Matthew Golden sneaks behind. What a great play call from Steve Sarkisian. Finds a way to convert 4th and 13. I'm going to go with Dylan's play.
Wow, first win, love it. Up next, we've got our best plays from Wild Card Weekend. My pick, C.J. Stroud and the Texans were struggling early. They couldn't score. And then they get a spark on a missed snap. C.J. Stroud showing why he's one of the best young players in the league. Scrambling, throwing downfield, finds his man open, 34 yards. And that play would start the drive that would get them their first touchdown. And after that touchdown, they would not lose the lead for the rest of the game. What improvisation from Stroud, avoiding the sack near the sideline, throwing sidearm on the run, and he finds his man downfield. Absolutely incredible play.
Yeah, what a throw to Xavier Hutchinson. I'm going to go with what's going to end up being the Texans round. We're going to go later into the game. We're going to go, again, defensive masterclass by the Houston Texans. We're going to go to Herbert in the backfield, who is going to yet again throw another interception, but this time into what has now become a tradition over the past couple years. We get a Houston Texans pick six in a wild card round. He throws it 35-yard line. Eric Murray rumbles into the end zone. I mean, what a way to just assert your dominance over a team that literally everybody thought was going to win this game. And the defense showing up and showing out for D'Amico Ryans. What a play in such a clutch game, in a clutch situation, to get that touchdown, take that lead for real, multiple score lead. I think that was just, that's a play you watch the TV and you can't help but saying, oh my God, that was awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, you really said a lot of it right there. The stakes were high at that point. It was a one-score game, very close game right there. You could have argued that the Chargers had at least 2 or 3 opportunities to score a touchdown, and that play right there changed the game. I might have to go with that one right there. Of course, C.J. Stroud made that great play, but, I've been very critical of C.J. Stroud this entire year. I wish he could have done more on my fantasy team as well, but I'll leave that beside. But, C.J. Stroud's played so well this year. I wish him the best in Kansas City. He's going to the Lions' den with the back-to-back Super Bowl champions. But that play right there, I thought, really changed the game and tilted it in Houston's favor to make it a 2-score game. I'm going to go with Tyler on the second one.
All right, 1-1.
All right, now we move into our best NBA plays. My pick, the Grizzlies have been hot, and we saw an all-star matchup between Ja and Wemby. Ja Morant been having himself a great year, and just watch this, going up against the 7'3" Frenchman, put him on a poster. That's not an average defender. That's Victor Wembanyama. He's 7'3". Ja Morant just going up and getting it, attacking. He plays angry. And you can see it right there. What a dunk. He throws it in. Look at this. Just ferocious. Getting up there. Oh my goodness. He threw it in. I couldn't believe it when I saw this. I saw the highlight. It said Ja dunks on Wemby. I thought that was a typo. I watched it. I couldn't believe it. Incredible play from Ja. You love to see it.
Yeah, I mean, that's hard to do. I mean, you have a defender, and he's tall. Cool. You know what's better than one NBA player? Two NBA players. We're going to go to last night's game in a rematch against the top two league teams in the NBA, the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Cleveland Cavaliers. In the third quarter, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, front runner for MVP right now, fast breaks, dunks on two players. I don't care how tall one player is. Two players are harder than one player. And that, they are leading by a lot. And that kind of toughness, that ferociousness from the Thunder helped them to win that rematch. And I think SGA had a great game. I think that dunk was just really one of the nails in the coffin and just absolutely dismantling the Cavaliers.
And what a game for the Thunder, too. I mean, finding a way to really stomp the Cleveland Cavaliers who are having an unbelievable start to the season. I couldn't have even scripted this better for them. I mean, getting Kenny Atkinson from the Warriors out of nowhere, finally get another job as a head coach, and what a start they've had. Who could have expected this? I'm kind of leaning to saying, this doesn't count as a play, Dylan, because technically it didn't count. But I got to go with, Ja going over Wemby right there. What a play. I mean, he soared over a guy who's 7'4", 7'5" from France, and Wemby. I got to go with that one right there. That one just absolutely blew my mind. I had a Grizzlies fan who just kept reposting that everywhere and made sure everybody knew about it. But even though it didn't technically count, I'm going to go with Ja over Wemby.
Yeah, I can't blame him for reposting it. What a highlight it was. Up next, the Will Levis special, the biggest blooper. And we're going back to the Longhorns against Ohio State. A long drive to close out the half. You tie the game, you get all the momentum, and then the first play from scrimmage with less than 30 seconds left. Horrible tackling, horrible angles, and you let Travion Henderson go all the way down the field on the first play, screen pass. He wasn't touched. And in that situation, you just have to be aware of the scenario. The fans agree. You have to understand that there's less than 30 seconds left. You can afford to sit back in that zone, allow 8, 9, 10 yards. You can't just all charge the player because Ohio State had the blockers and they were ready for it. Travion Henderson untouched all the way down the field. I believe it was 80 yards. And I think it kind of got overlooked from some play calling later on in the game. But that play turned the tides. Who knows if they don't get that touchdown? The Ohio State didn't score again until the fourth quarter. Texas can win that game if they don't allow that play to happen. But instead, the defense got lazy. They let it happen, and they lost all the momentum they gained.
Brutal.
I mean, situational awareness is extremely important in a college football playoff game. And that's where I'm going to go with this next one. We're going to go to Penn State Notre Dame, which in my opinion was one of the closest, most fun to watch CFP games I've ever seen. 37 seconds left, and Drew Aller throws the ball over the middle of the field while they're tied. Why would you do that? Why would you throw the ball with 37 seconds left over the middle of the field when you could just run it, chew the clock out, go into overtime? I mean, the complete lack of situational awareness is the entire reason why Penn State lost that game. They could have gone to an overtime. They could have scored. They could have won. They kept themselves close, even though they didn't complete a pass to a wide receiver all game, I think, or at least until overtime or something.
Not all game.
But they kept themselves in it, and then Drew Aller with just the worst situational awareness I've seen in a college football playoff play in years. You don't throw the ball in that situation. You hand it off to a running back. You chew the clock. You wait for overtime. That is the epitome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Epitome of a blooper. Just absolutely screwing it up in the end.
You channel a little bit of Paul Allen right there, the Vikings radio commentary when Brett Favre threw that game losing interception in New Orleans.
This isn't Detroit, man. This is the CFP semifinal.
CFP, yeah. But yeah, I mean, you talk about catastrophic plays right there. Drew Aller, I mean, that right there was unspeakable. I could not believe he threw that ball right there to put Notre Dame pretty much right there in field goal range. Of course, I mean, that Travion Henderson play was amazing as well from an Ohio State perspective. It almost reminded me a little bit of Todd Orlando. when he blitzed Joe Burrow all of a sudden with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson and Austin. I'll never forget that. 3rd and 18. What are you doing, Todd Orlando? Sending 6 guys on a blitz. Don't know what I was really seeing right there. But Chip Kelly, I thought it was really a better coaching than it was a bad play call in the end from the Ohio State perspective. I'm going to go with Drew Allard's blooper right there. I think that was just a terrible play on his part. The play was there before, but he threw the ball a little bit too late, in my opinion, and he just threw it right there in the defender's hands, put up Notre Dame in the field goal range area, and Notre Dame did the rest, and now they're in the Natty. So I'm going to go with Tyler's answer there.
Yeah, Allard not a single completion to a receiver that game. Well, we're tied 2-2 in highlights, and now for our last round, the miscellaneous sports play of the week, we're going to college basketball.
Yeah.
Dawson Garcia, the Minnesota man, against a ranked Michigan team, time running down an overtime pass back from the logo at the buzzer on the home court.
Onions.
The team charging the court. Look at them. Major onions right there. Look at this. Passing back from the logo. That's half court at the horn. No double overtime tonight. He's winning it right there against a ranked Michigan team. And look at him. Stone-faced. He's been there before. What a play from Dawson Garcia.
All right. In that same vein, we're going to go last night, Northwestern against Maryland. 0.07 seconds left in overtime. 74-74. The inbound to Nick Martinelli, who gets open, lobs it, makes it at the buzzer for Northwestern to beat Maryland. I mean, talk about ice in your veins to inbound it, and with less than a single second remaining, beat Maryland in what absolutely could have turned into a double overtime situation. You want to talk ice in your veins? Being able to catch a ball and throw it in the air within 0.05 seconds, that's something you do not see every day. That's a March Madness level play. There was a review. It did count. Thank you very much, Nick Martinelli.
Man, what a play that was from both of y'all right there. But y'all making this really hard on me right now. But 2 great buzzer beaters in college basketball this weekend. Great action all around college basketball this past weekend. Yeah. And so, with that being said, I look at Dusty May's Michigan team. I'm already amazed at what he's doing coming from FAU. That was a good team rolling into there, to Minnesota. I'm going to go with Minnesota right there with Dylan taking the win. Half court, you're almost just at the half court line, throwing up a prayer, and it goes in. And then, like you were saying, stone-faced, like, this is what I do. Reminds me of Damian Lillard when he hit that game-winning shot against the Thunder in about 2018, 2019. I've been here before. This is what I do. And he's just like a killer. So I'm going to go with that one right there. I have Dylan winning the last one right there.
All right.
Love to see it.
Dylan's going to win the highlight versus 3-2, and that will be the end of our versus block. Thank you so much to Joe Duffy for coming in, picking the highlights for us. We'll be right back. right, welcome back to the One of the Sports Show. We're going to race into our next segment, the Texas Athletics. You get that? The Texas Athletics segment. We're going to go right into it. The Texas Longhorn football team, everybody knows this, was defeated 28-14 in the Cotton Bowl by the Ohio State Buckeyes last Friday, which brings up the question, getting into the semifinal of the college football playoff, was this season a success, Dylan?
I think it absolutely was. This was the first year in the SEC, the biggest college football conference in the country, and they were the last team remaining in the conference. Your only losses the entire season are to Georgia and Ohio State, two established top-level teams. It definitely wasn't smooth the whole way. There were bumps, those back-to-back weeks when you had that Georgia loss at home and then that game against Vanderbilt, which you almost lost away. Definitely cracks in the road. Sometimes the play calling wasn't up to par, but an incredible defense. Quinn Ewers, a lasting legacy at Texas, which we'll get into more. But a 13-3 season, you get to the semifinal for the second consecutive season, proving that this team belongs once again in the upper echelon of college football teams, getting to the semifinal again. And, you know, a few plays, maybe they go the other way. I think they beat Ohio State. And if they get into that national championship, I honestly think they have a pretty good chance of winning it. So it was a great season. Couldn't quite get all the way. But they're paving the way for the future, and this team, they're deserving the respect.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Listen, no one's going to be ecstatic about losing a game in the college football playoff semifinal, and I think everybody understands that. But in a year where the Texas Longhorn move into the Southeastern Conference, and you have every single other SEC team, including a little brother that no one's going to really talk about, saying, welcome to the SEC, you're going to suffer. We didn't. Texas didn't suffer. Texas went in to the SEC schedule, again, only losing to Georgia twice, second one closer than the first one, having a 13-3 record, being the last team remaining in the college football playoff from the SEC, having what was arguably the best defense in the nation, showing that you do belong. I think that's what determines the success in the season. Did you play and show you belong? Were you dominant? Being one of the last four teams remaining out of 134 is a successful season, I think. I don't think you can take away what Sark, what Ewers, what all the players did. I mean, let's take this into account. We were on a third and fourth string running back, right? Two of them got injured in the offseason, and we were still one of the best rushing teams in the nation. Our play calling, while rocky at times, was really good, especially, you go back to that Florida game where we had that misdirection play. Texas was a great team all year, and to lose to Ohio State, I think, is a valiant team to lose to. I think there's a lot you can build off of. I think getting some transfers, having some people move up thanks to people going into the draft, I think you can be hopeful about the future, but still recognize that this season was a success.
Yeah, and I think it was also great that Arch got to get some experience this season going into next year. Really excited to see what he has in store. Moving on, though, to Quinn Ewers. He's officially declared for the NFL draft. What do you think of his career at Texas, and where do you think he will get drafted to, if at all?
Okay. Quinn Ewers is going to be a Texas legend, okay? Yes, he had some issues. We saw some cracks in the facade. But what he's been able to do in tandem with Sark and that coaching staff and bringing Texas back to relevance cannot be understated. 2 straight playoff appearances, taking a team that had been relevant since basically the 2010s and putting them back into relevance is not something you can sneeze at. Did Texas win a national championship? No. But what Quinn Ewers was able to do in that quarterbacking position was something that deserves so much respect. He's absolutely one of the legends in Texas Longhorn history, bringing them back to a place they hadn't been since probably 2009. You can put him in the echelon, I think, in terms of like McCoy and Young in some ways, bringing Texas back to relevance. Now, going into the draft, Quinn Ewers is a good quarterback, but he has some issues that I don't think NFL scouts are going to like. His escapability is below average in terms of when he's pressured on all sides by an offensive line. He is not well versed in escaping the pocket and improvising a play. And that's something that a lot of NFL scouts are going to look for now that we have, we just saw C.J. Stroud escape the pocket. Lamar Jackson's obviously a mobile quarterback. Even Josh Allen we have those NFL scouts looking for someone who can escape the pocket and improvise plays. Quinn Ewers was never specializing in that. Additionally, even inside the pocket, his movement's not great. He takes more sacks because he isn't able to avoid those pass rushers. I think that drops him a little bit. He was projected to go in the first round at the beginning of the season. I think he goes round 2 or 3. Late 2, early 3. I think a team that is either looking for a quarterback but doesn't want to use a first round pick on them, or someone who, is on the last year of an old quarterback and wants to bring someone new in. Hopefully it's not a Michael Penix situation, because I don't understand that still. But I think he gets drafted round 2 or 3. I think it's a respectable place for him to get drafted. He'll be looked at as more of a project quarterback, I think. I think he has some of the things where the scouts could be like, yeah, we can work on that with some coaching, but he won't be one of those quarterbacks that's going to go in the top of the first round. He's like, yes, we want him to lead a franchise. We'll see what he does. He gets drafted 2-3. I think those pocket issues are going to put him down a little bit, but in terms of his career at Texas, I think he's one of the greats. I think they owe him a lot for what he's been able to do for this program and bring him back to relevance.
Yeah, I agree. I'd probably say around a second, third round pick. I think he's got the name value. And on top of that, I think one of his biggest assets is his composure. He's played in the big moments, and he's shown that he can stay calm and composed. He doesn't let the moments get to them. He comes through in the clutch. However, mobility is definitely a huge issue. Additionally, he steps up into pressure sometimes, making it harder on himself. He takes a lot of sacks from doing that. He doesn't throw the ball away too much. He takes a lot of unnecessary sacks, and it hurts a lot. And this season, we've seen that stock drop a little bit because he's missed on some deeper throws. He had a bad interception in the Peach Bowl against Arizona State downfield. It wasn't really a man open, but I think still he's got the name, he's got the composure, and I think he goes around second, third round. But I want to focus more on his legacy at Texas, because when Quinn Ewers came to this school in 2021, they were 5-7, losing record, not even bowl eligible. This is one of the most storied schools for football in the country. And Quinn Ewers and Steve Sarkisian have completely turned around this team in 4 years. They've brought it back to the nobility they once had, 2 straight semifinal appearances. He never got that championship that we all wanted him to get, but he brought respect back to this team and this school, and he's paved the way for the future to come. Quinn Ewers, undoubtedly a Texas legend.
100%, I agree. So much respect to Quinn Ewers and so much luck. We wish him the best of luck in the NFL draft. Moving on to Texas men's basketball, they faced some recent struggles with close losses to both the number 1 ranked school in Tennessee and the number 2 ranked school in Auburn at the times of the games at home. Dylan, what do you make of this basketball team?
I think this team is sneaky good, and I think it's better than a lot of people give credit for. I think it's very underrated outside of Texas fans. They've proven that they can hang with a lot of the best teams in the nation. And a few of these games, if some shots go the other way, they can win these games. And I think come March, that gives them the opportunity to make some noise. Trey Johnson has been an incredible scorer. And though they're not quite there in terms of being one of those top teams, maybe a top 25 ranked team, I think they've got the opportunity to make some noise in March. And I'm excited to see where this team can go.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. Listen. So far this year, we've learned one thing about the SEC in basketball, and that it is good. The SEC is probably the best conference in basketball right now. They're probably going to get 10 teams into March Madness. So that conference record is going to be much tougher to get. Losing to the number 1 and number 2 teams are losses that people are okay with, because it's the number 1 and number 2 teams. But the fact that Texas started slow against Auburn and then was able to get it back to being close is something you can't understate. Not being able to win, sure, but the fact that they made it close and made Auburn sweat a little bit is something you can be pretty proud of. I don't think they're quite ready to assert any dominance in the short run. I don't think they're going to, make too much noise in the conference. I think they're going to be out probably before, if they get into March Madness, because there's so many teams in the SEC, that there's a chance they don't even get in, even though they're pretty good. I mean, that's just the way the bracket falls. Yeah. I think they can win like 1 or 2 and get out before Sweet 16. I don't think they're going to have a shot this year, but I think we're seeing what we also probably saw out of that football team is a longer but storied return to relevance. Getting those good players, getting transfers, Rodney Terry coaching good. I think we're going to see them be good in the long run, but I think in the short run we're right in that middle part where they're like good. Their only losses are to ranked teams. I think they're good. I don't think they're great yet, but I think they could be over time.
Yeah. All right. Well, when we come back, we've got some trivia. Stay right here on the 1 Sports Show.
Is the fade out so long? Okay, nice. We have to move now, I think, again. Welcome back to the 1 Sports Show. Hope you're enjoying so far. We're going to move into our next block, which is the trivia block. We're going to test our ball knowledge, and with us is one of the executive producers of the 1 Sports Show, Santi Ortiz. How you doing?
Good. How are you guys doing on this Friday?
Doing good. Show's going good. Excited to be back after this long winter break. Talk about some sports, test our ball knowledge out, see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, let's get right into it. So for today, I kind of tried to cook up a pretty obscure trivia. So for everybody at home, everybody in the back, feel free to participate. So let's get into the first question. We're going to go over to the NBA, to an iconic franchise. We're going to start with the Boston Celtics. And I'm going to ask you, Tyler and Dylan, how many jersey numbers have the Boston Celtics officially retired?
Okay. Yeah. Never really been paying attention to that side of the NBA,
no.
especially not with the Celtics. But let's see, how old are the Celtics? They're like really old.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, I got my answer.
Any thinking strategy we got going on right here?
Like not really. I think you just gotta kind of.
We're kind of just guesstimating.
Yeah.
But I think if you look at how old they are and how many legendary players they have, you can kind of like try to eliminate, I guess.
Yeah. All right, I've got my.
Okay.
answer.
I got my answer.
All right, I'll start over here on the with Dylan. Okay, Dylan, what's your final answer?
All right, I'm gonna go with B31.
Okay, what about you, Tyler?
I'm gonna go with A24. I think it's a good middle ground.
I like that. All right, and Tyler, you are correct. The answer is A24. So okay, nice. Tyler leads 1-0.
Please don't ask me who those things are.
Yeah, that one was kind of, very, very much a guessing game. I'm surprised. I don't think even Boston Celtics fans could tell you that. But anyways, let's move on to our second question, which let's flip back over to the Diamonds, actually. We're going to go to the MLB here, and we're going to talk about who was the first MLB player to ever hit 4 home runs in a single game. Was it A, Willie Mays, B, Lou Gehrig, C, Bobby Lowe, or D, Roger Hornsby?
Okay, I went to an Astros game years ago, and George Springer, hit 3 home runs in 3 consecutive at-bats in that game. So I think I remember someone talking about this record. And I'm pretty sure that I remember who it was. And if I'm wrong, I didn't say any of that.
That would be pretty crazy ball. That's not even ball knowledge at that point. That's like just actual knowledge if you get this question
He
based
did not
off
hit
that.
that home run, by the way. It was still just 3. But
Okay.
Yeah, maybe I'm not as much of a ball knower as I once thought. Yeah, I mean, I've got to guess, but
Maybe the real trivia question should be, do you even know who these 4 people are? But okay, I'll start with Tyler this time. Tyler, who is your final answer?
I'm going to go with Rogers Hornsby. I don't think it was Gehrig. Because I don't think people hit as many home runs in that time. I don't think Willie Mays hit that. I think he was more of a regular hitter, and I don't know who Bobby Lowe is. So I think it was Hornsby.
Okay, what about you, Dylan?
yeah, I was actually going to go Hornsby as well. The first 2 names, I just feel like, I don't know, I feel like this would be the kind of question that the answer would be like way too obscure.
Like if it was those 2 big names,
Yeah, like
we
Willie
would
Mays,
know
Lou
it.
Gehrig, they're too well known.
We would know
I
it
feel like
if
it's
it was
got to
them.
be Rogers Hornsby. It just makes sense.
Yeah, I see what you're getting at there. Trick question, but all right, this time, unfortunately, none of you guys were correct. The answer was actually Bobby Lowe.
Wow.
For all those ball knowers out there who knew that, salute to you.
No, you didn't.
But yeah, I don't know if you use ChatGPT or whatever. But all right, let's move back over to the NBA, and I know that I'm kind of throwing y'all some really old questions here, so we're gonna continue with that. We're gonna ask who scored the first ever NBA basket in the history of the NBA. Who scored the first basket?
Who scored the first
in
ever?
NBA history? Who was the first ever person to score? Was it A, George Mikan, B, Ozzie Shetman, C, Joe Fulks, or D, Bob Cousy?
Wow.
And the NBA was founded like 1940.
Yeah, what sounds the oldest?
I mean, Mikan was the OG.
Yeah,
He was a dog.
talk about the Mikan layup drill. That's ball
Yeah.
knowledge right there.
And I definitely don't know what they're talking about. I'll be honest.
See, I don't know if Mikan is, he's the best player. He was the best player at the time, but I feel like, again, the answer would just be someone you've never heard of before.
I have it narrowed
We're
down
gonna
to 2 of them because I recognize one of the names barely, but I think he played later than this time period.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I have an answer.
All right, Tyler. If you have an answer, let us know what it is.
Ozzie Schechtman. The other one I was thinking was Bob Cousy, but I think he played later. I don't think he played at the beginning of the NBA. I think he was
Okay.
later. I think if we know enough about, you all seem to know about Mikan, but I think maybe we would know this. I don't know who Joe Fulks is. He sounds like a catcher. So we're going to go Ozzie Schechtman, also because Ozzie Schechtman sounds like he was the front runner of a jazz band in the 40s.
Yeah, not a
Um,
common name there.
You know what? I guess I'll go with Mikan just because he was so dominant. Maybe he did score the first point. I know he was there at the start of it, so I'll go with Mikan.
Okay. We have some great deduction skills being displayed here, by the way. But, all right, Tyler, again, is right. The answer was, in fact, Ozzie Shetman.
Of course it was.
This is crazy ball knowledge being displayed, by the way.
What position did he play? Did those
No,
exist back
I
then?
have no idea. I think I feel like they just probably, like, threw a bunch of basketballs out there and just, like, they were like,
He
you
played
guys start playing.
thrower.
Yeah. Okay, but we're on, talking about some hardwood. Let's flip, like most arenas do, to the ice. And we're going to go to the NHL. And if we... I don't know a lot about the NHL, but hopefully you guys know this. Which goalie holds the record for the longest shutout streak in NHL history? Is it A, Glenn Hall, B, Brian Boecher, A, Alex Connell, or D, George Hainsworth?
Man, I'm getting exposed today. It's just not. I'm missing him.
My city doesn't have an NHL team. This is the worst.
But yeah, I mean, if we could get our guy TJ Krulowitz on here, I'm sure
He would know this
this
immediately. I'm so sorry, TJ. I'm so sorry.
Apologies in advance, but
Apologies.
sorry, I might have to make the trivia a little easier next week.
Yeah, sorry for the lack of ball knowledge, guys.
Oh, would this be ball knowledge or puck knowledge?
Ooh, yeah,
Ooh.
puck knowledge.
Facts.
No balls in hockey.
All right.
We're gonna guess.
Yeah.
Do you want to go?
Yeah, sure. My guess, he's calling my name. I don't know why. George Hainsworth. I feel like he's got the longest shutout streak in NHL history.
Okay.
I feel like I've heard of this guy, and I like that there's triple B's in a row. I think that's like a good luck thing. We'll go with B. Brian Boucher.
Okay.
He just sounds like he was from like the South, but then he got real good at hockey, and he made it big, and then he was like super good at blocking. Like he probably played like recess football or soccer or something, and then just translated it.
Okay. The answer is, in fact, C. Alex Connell. So there are no points awarded for this particular trivia segment.
Sorry, Alex.
Yeah, sorry, Alex. We missed you. We'll get you on there next time, though.
Yeah.
Now we know. Okay, for our last question, we're going to go over to tennis, a sport that I know a lot of y'all probably really don't watch, to be honest.
Oh, God.
But, okay.
We'll see.
So let's see. Who was the youngest player to ever win a Grand Slam title in the Open era? Was it A. Boris Becker, B. Martina Hingis, C. Monica Seles, or D. Michael Chang?
Yeah, I don't know any of these people, but I guess I'll give my guess right away.
This isn't even trivia at this point. I think
This
it's
is
just just guess.
But
this
honestly,
is like a test. They say, oh, pick C for everyone.
yeah, but honestly, there's only one person I can pick. It's my last name brother. I got to go with A. Boris Becker. Great last name.
I'm going to go with the one that seems like the most tennis name, Monica Seles.
Okay. I mean, maybe we might have to rename this segment to Guessing Game at this point. But all right, the answer was actually B. Martina Hingis. So no points again awarded.
We were really good at getting all the ones except for the answer.
Yeah, but Tyler does win the overall segment, so congratulations to you, Tyler. I know we don't have our trophy anymore. Somebody stole that from
Someone stole
us.
my
but-
trophy.
Yeah, but congrats, Tyler. Maybe we'll get you on. We'll have a tournament of champions for trivia. But
That'll be fun.
all right, thank you guys for having me on for this segment.
Yes, thank you, Santi,
Yeah,
for coming on for
absolutely.
our trivia. That's going to end our trivia block. When we come back, we're going to pick some games from the NFL playoffs, from college basketball conference play, NBA, and the college football playoff national championship. So stick around.
Welcome back to the One and O Sports Show. Back for our final segment. Some good old-fashioned pick'ems. Up first, national championship time this Monday. Ohio State taking on Notre Dame. Should have been Texas, but it's Ohio State. Guys, who do you got?
I'm going to go with Ohio State, the Ohio State University. I like this Notre Dame defense a lot. Marcus Freeman's done a great job, of course, coming after Brian Kelly, who left for LSU. This defense has played well for the Fighting Irish, but I don't know if they'll have enough to contain this dynamic offense of Will Howard, Jeremiah Smith of the Ohio State Buckeyes. I got Ohio State by 7.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. Not by the point total, though. So obviously, as you can see, Ohio State is 8-point favorites. I think Ohio State does win. I think it's a 14-point game. That Notre Dame defense is good. However, I think that Ohio State's offense is going to get enough points, and I don't think Notre Dame's offense is going to perform as well as they did last game, because I think, again, as Dylan said earlier, Ohio State has an underrated defense. I think it's a 14-point win, which means that Notre Dame does not cover, for all of you betting folk out there. I think I could be wrong. I don't bet. I'm not legally able to yet. So, yeah, OSU, that's Oklahoma State. Ohio State by 14.
Yeah, I got the Buckeyes as well. Like we were saying earlier, just such a complete team in all facets of the game, offense, defense. However, Notre Dame has a great defense, one of the best in the nation. I think they do keep this game close enough that they can cover that -8. I think this game ends in one possession, but I think at the end of the day, Ohio State's offense is just going to be too much to handle. Amazing wide receivers, amazing running backs, and I think they're going to be winning that national championship come Monday. Up next, Texans at Chiefs. Chiefs open as 8-point favorites at home. Playoff Mahomes. Who do you guys got?
You said it right there. Playoff Mahomes. It's a different beast. It's Arrowhead Stadium. You're in the Lions' Den when it comes to playoff time, playing at that stadium, and it's the Texans special, Saturday 3:30 at Arrowhead Stadium. I love the Texans. Really, I like their defense against this offense of Kansas City, believe it or not. But we know the Chiefs like to turn it up a little bit extra in the playoffs. You know, when you're going against Patrick Mahomes, who, by the way, I know their point total in terms of points per game has decreased year by year ever since those dynamic 2018-2019 seasons with Tyreek Hill. You have to also factor in who is also officiating. And I know there's a lot of controversy with the Chiefs' luck with the flags that are drawn. But the guy who's going to be the official this week, especially tomorrow, is 6-0 when Kansas City has his games. So yeah, it's a little thing to remember right there. I'm going to go with Kansas City winning this game by, I'll say by 7 again.
Yeah, okay, so I'm going to do something controversial, and I'm probably going to regret it. Because I might be the only person except for Rex Ryan who says that the Texans have a shot. I'm picking the Texans, and I'm going to explain to you exactly why. A, that ref comment, yes, the refs have been kind of weird all year, but also when you're 15-2, anyone can be 6-0. You know, you've lost 2 games. Here's what I think happens. For the Texans to win, this is what has to happen, and I think if they do what they did during the Chargers game, it can happen. A, Derek Stingley covers Xavier Worthy, knocks him out of the game. He's a first-team All-Pro cornerback. B, the pass rush keeps Mahomes uncomfortable, keeps him in the pocket, keeps him from escaping and making plays with his feet. C, interior defensive line keeps Isaiah Pacheco quiet. D, we have the other wide receiver, DeAndre Hopkins, who has not been relevant since he was a Texan. Nico Collins gets open. Joe Mixon runs over people if he plays. That's kind of a contingent here. I think if we're talking about playoff Mahomes, I think we also have to talk about A, now the Texans are on house money. Nobody thought they would get here. Playoff Stroud. I think Playoff Stroud might make an appearance. If all of those things happen, and I think they do, the Texans pull off a game against a team that I think is much weaker than its record suggests.
Yeah, Tyler, I would love to say that I agree with you and that the Texans are going to pull off this upset, but unfortunately, I think this one's going to go to the evil empire in Kansas City. I don't think it's ever a good idea to go against Mahomes in the playoffs. One too many times I've been like, oh yeah, this is the time they'll get Mahomes, and of course, never happens. This Chiefs team, they just find ways to win. Even when they don't look good, they win. They've had 2 losses all season. I mean, one of the best records we've seen in a long time. 15-2, I think since the 2019 Ravens went 14-2. An incredible season for them, and it's playoff Mahomes. It's in Arrowhead. It's going to be loud. I think the Texans keep it close throughout the first half, But I think that Chiefs team and that strong defense pulls away in the second half. I think they cover the -8 spread. I think they win by about 11. Up next, our next playoff game, Commanders coming into Detroit, the #1 seed Lions at 7 p.m. Lions open as 9.5-point favorites. Who do you guys got?
I don't see really anybody being the Detroit Lions team. I really do think they are the Super Bowl favorite, in my opinion. This offense is dynamic. The defense is shaky. I understand. But Jalen Daniels, he has been, as hot as any other quarterback. He showed why he was one of the great rookies this year. He's probably going to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year as well, but he's just been special, and what a win he had against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But unfortunately, I think it ends in Detroit because this offense of the Detroit Lions and Dan Campbell, Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs, they've been dynamic on the ground and through the air as well. Also, the Commanders' run D is not really good at all either. It's bottom tier of the league. So I really think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to have a crazy game, and I think the Lions win this game handily by 14.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you basically entirely. I think the Commanders keep it close at the beginning. However, what we've seen all year, Detroit has the ability to exhaust their opponent to the point where at the end of the game, they are just tired. You have Montgomery's back, right? You have Montgomery and Gibbs. So you have Sonic and Knuckles back. St. Brown, Jared Goff. That offense is exhausting. Even if Washington's defense is good at the beginning, it's going to get exhausting. And if that run defense continues to be that bad, you're going to get run touchdowns up the wazoo. I think it's, again, Lions by 14, only because Commanders keep it close for a lot of the game. And then at the end, I think Detroit kind of pops open the lid. I just think that offense is too much for the Commanders to handle. I think they're just better.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Detroit as well. I do think the Commanders can cover that spread. I think this will probably be about a 7-point game. That Commanders offense is just really strong. Jaden Daniels just knows how to put points on the board. And Terry McLaurin's having a career season this year. That passing game is really strong. So I do think they put points up here. But I think it's not going to be enough to cover for the amount of points they're going to let up because this Lions offense is so strong. And like you said, it's a weak Commanders run defense. That Lions offensive line might be the best in the league in the rushing game. And they've got two dangerous running backs back there ready to go crazy at any moment, Jahmyr Gibbs and Demont, both absolute monsters. Then you have St. Brown, you've got Laporta. Even Tim Patrick's been great in this run. That Lions team, they're really deep. They have very few weaknesses, and I think they get the win at home. So, now, moving into the next game. Rams coming in to Philly to take on my Eagles. Boy, am I excited for this one. But first, who do you guys have?
Sean McVay, what else can be said about the guy? Already a Super Bowl champion. When he was first hired, people were kind of, pushing him to the side. Who's this 30-year-old that's getting a head coaching job already in this franchise that just moved from St. Louis? How is he getting a head coach job? And he has proven year by year that he is one of the best coaches in the game. And you saw it just again in Arizona going against the Vikings, who found another way to collapse yet again, sadly, with Sam Darnold just seeing ghosts again. But this defensive line in the front seven of the Rams has just been sensational. They're one of the best young cores in the league. And it's amazing how they found a way to just go all in and get that ring, scrap it all down with Aaron Donald also retiring, and build a good young core yet again. This defensive line might give this, Jalen Hurts a little bit of trouble at times, but I really do think that the Eagles will win this game. Very close, I say by 7. I think that being in Philadelphia will for sure help them as well. But the defense for Philadelphia, coached by Vic Fangio, has been a game changer this year. There's a reason they've been top 3 all year long. He's one of the best defensive coordinators in the past decade. I got the Eagles win this game by a touchdown.
I'm going to agree exactly. I think the Rams keep it close. I think this is going to be a closer game than everyone expects it to be. The Rams do have an offense that has found it as of late. I just think the Eagles' defense is really going to be key in terms of keeping it competitive. And also, I cannot stress enough how hard it is to win against Saquon. And then you have Jalen Hurts and Devonta Smith. Their offense is just too good. It's really hard to win. I think if the Rams play any other opponent, except for Detroit, they might win. But I think because they're playing the Eagles are just too tough of a team. This is the best year the Eagles have had in a while. We always expect, the past couple years, there's going to be a part in the middle of the season where the Eagles start collapsing, and they haven't yet. I think that's key. I think the Eagles win it. I think it's by 7. but I think it's going to be less close. If you look at anything but the scoreboard, it's going to be less close. It's going to be a dominant game, but it's going to be close in the scoreboard.
Yeah, hats off to the Rams for an incredible season. They've turned it around. We're 1-4, like I was saying at the beginning of the show. But of course, I got to go with my Birds here. You don't want to play playoff football in Philly, plain and simple. If you're another team, scary environment. Those fans,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
they'll come at you.
Yeah.
And this team is just so complete, especially that defense, so strong at all three levels. On the D-line, you have an incredible run stopper like Jalen Carter, and in the pass game, you have edges. You have like Josh Sweat, who can get to the quarterback. On the middle level, you have incredible linebackers, Zach Bond, first-team All-Pro. What a story he's been. And you have Cooper DeJean, who sometimes come down to that level. He can blitz. What a rookie he's been. And then you have that corner duo of Slay and Mitchell. You have the young and the veteran. They've been incredible. They were really locking up in that Packers game. And then, of course, you have the safeties on the back end. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, absolute ball hawk. And Reed Blankenship, my favorite white boy. And he's just been killing it. And this whole team has been grooving. The offense, sometimes they struggle. They don't put the most points on the board, but they'll grind the game out. Saquon Barkley's going to do his thing like he always does. You know, there's so many games you're like, wow, they're actually playing pretty good defense on Saquon. Then you look at the box score and he's got like 120 yards. He just keeps going and he just whittles you down. And that defense is going to hold strong. And I think they end up winning this game by multiple scores. That defense, they don't let up a lot of garbage time points. Even at the end of the game, they don't let up. They're so strong, and I think they're just going to outplay the Rams at home. So now, moving into the last game of the divisional round, we've got the Ravens coming into Buffalo, taking on the Bills. What a game this will be. The Ravens are the 1-point favorite here. Who do you guys have?
You know, this one hurts my soul because I love both of these teams, both these quarterbacks, both of these coaches, and both of these fan bases because these teams have just been sensational all year long. I'm going to say that because this game is in Buffalo, I do expect a little bit of early trouble for the Ravens initially. We saw this game earlier in the season. The Ravens really spanked Buffalo, and it wasn't a close game for the majority of it. So I'm going to go really also with the Ravens again. I think it'll be close in the beginning. Lamar might be a little disoriented because of the Buffalo crowd and the Buffalo defense, but this Ravens defense has gotten better since midseason. Zach Gore, a UNT grad, by the way, has found a way to really, adjust this defensive front seven really and a lot more pressure and disguising his coverages as well. I like this defensive performance against Josh Allen, who is a playoff riser. We've seen what he's done in the past, but I think it's going to be a little bit more disappointment for this Buffalo fan base. I'm going to have the Ravens winning this just by a little, and Lamar playing hero ball in the fourth quarter, winning this game by 3.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Ravens. I think the home field does help Buffalo. However, yes, Baltimore started the season slow. But I think it's more scary when a team starts a season slow and then ends it really hot. That is terrifying. Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry in the backfield has proven to be terrifying. You could say all you want about how, putting two superstars on a team doesn't work. It has. It has worked for this team. That's going to overpower the Buffalo defense. I truly think so. I think Lamar Jackson has proven that he is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And I don't just mean with the running. He has proven that. He is, I think, the front runner, or one of them for the MVP right now. I think him and Derrick Henry and that defense, which I think is underrated, are going to pull it out. I think it's a 7-point win. Also, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that whoever wins this wins the AFC.
Yeah, I actually agree with that, but I'm going the other way. I have the Bills. I think the Bills are the best team in the AFC right now. And I think because of the end of the season, Joe Burrow, Lamar were getting some talks for MVP. I think people kind of stopped talking about Josh Allen a little bit and the incredible season he's had with a lot less talent than he's had in past years. I mean, going into this year, we thought the Bills were going to take a step back. And honestly, it seems like they've taken a step forward. Josh Allen is having a career year. He's been so good. And I think being at home in Buffalo, that team, that city is going to give them such an advantage. It's going to be close the whole way. That Ravens offense is so dangerous and so dynamic in the run. but I think this Buffalo team is so explosive. Josh Allen can beat you with his feet or through the air. James Cook has been incredible this year. I think he's an underrated running back and an underrated piece that can help the Bills win this game. And I think it's going to come down to the wire, but I think the Bills win on a game-winning field goal. At home, I just see it happening. I think this is the year the Bills finally make some noise. And now we move into college basketball. We got the 4-seeded Alabama Crimson Tide taking on the 8-seed Kentucky Wildcats in some SEC action. Who do you guys got?
I mean, this conference is loaded. Mark Pope and Nate Oates, two great coaches as well. Alabama just lost in what was an upset, but I got to say, Kentucky being in this arena, Big Blue Nation is going to show up well. I got Mark Pope and the Kentucky Wildcats taking this game in Kentucky.
Yeah, Kentucky has that blue blood mentality. They haven't lost to a ranked team all year. They have been here before. And I think that's a composure that Mark Pope has been able to teach to any team that he's coached in Kentucky. That mentality of, I can go in against a good team and not be nervous because I'm a Kentucky Wildcat and I'm a blue blood. And I think that's going to propel them to a win. I don't think they lose to a ranked team. I think it's close. I think this is going to be one of the games of the week, but I do think Kentucky pulls it out.
Yeah, I got to go with the Wildcats as well. This team is so well balanced. They have 5 players averaging double-digit scoring every night. It's college basketball. They're young players. Sometimes some players are going to have off nights. But when you have so many players to make up for that, I think it just shows how disciplined this team is and how many ways they can beat you. And when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, I'm trusting the blue blood at home. They've been in the big moments before. I think Kentucky gets the win. Moving on now, we have the number 1 team in the nation, Auburn, taking on 23 Georgia. 2 more SEC powerhouses here in the top 25. Who do you guys got?
It's so wild to see a Georgia team in basketball ranked at this point. Feels like I haven't seen them really play well, even since Anthony Edwards, and that team especially was not that great. Even when he was playing, and he still got to be a top 3 pick, a lottery pick for the Timberwolves. But Bruce Pearl, I think he's just done such a great coaching job. It's one of his best coaching jobs in his career thus far, especially in SEC play. He's out to a great start. Of course, they beat the Longhorns about last week, I believe. And I think they're going to keep it rolling. So I'm going to go with Auburn to win this game by, say, 5 or 7.
I'm going to keep this one really short and sweet. Look for Johnny Broome to make an impact like he's done all year. Auburn's number 1 for a reason. Auburn.
Yeah, I'm going to take Auburn as well. They've got 1 loss in the entire season, and it was to a top 10 Duke team. Watch out for Johnny Broome, yes, but also watch out for his injury. He's been hurt. He's actually not 100% sure whether or not he will play this game. If not, I think it'll be a much closer game. I'd still take Auburn, but if he plays, I mean, it's hard to see them losing. He's been absolutely dominant, both scoring on the boards, passing, everything. He's been incredible. This whole Auburn team has been incredible, so well run by Bruce Pearl, and I think they get that win. Guess what? We've got more SEC ball. Your Texas Longhorns going into Gainesville, taking on the number 5 ranked Florida Gators. Who do you guys got?
With all the controversy surrounding the coach and Todd Golden and the Florida Gators, I do think they find a way to really back the performance with the home crowd in Gainesville. Ronnie Terry, he's been a little bit shaky this year in terms of in-game adjustments. I know Texas Longhorns got that big win against the Oklahoma Sooners a few nights ago in a game you could argue they could have lost that one right there after leading by 20 points and finding a way to almost blow it in Norman. But they hung on. I do think they'll find a way to make this a close game, but I don't know if they can win this one in Gainesville. I got Florida winning by just under 10.
Yeah, I think it's going to be another story, another Auburn story. They're going to start a little slow, come back, be within a certain amount of points into taking it to the lead or getting a tie going, and then something's going to happen. Last 5 minutes, Florida's going to pull away. They're going to win by 8.
Yeah, we've talked about it before. This Texas team can hang with some of the best. I think they keep it close most of the way. But at the end of the day, I think this Florida team at home, they pull away late, and it'll be another heartbreaking loss for Texas fans, another one where we can say, oh, we almost got them. But unfortunately, we're not going to get them. I think Florida wins. Finally, moving out of the SEC into the Big Ten, we've got the 17-seed Purdue Boilermakers taking on the 13-seed Oregon Ducks. Who do you guys got?
I think it's a little bit of a toss-up, honestly. Matt Painter's squad has been a little bit up and down to start the year. They were a top 5 team to start off. But I think this team can actually get away with this win here at Oregon. I do think they'll find a way to win this one, even though they're not the better ranked team. But I'm going to go with Matt Painter's Purdue winning this game.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I think Purdue takes it. I think Purdue currently has a 6-1 Big Ten record. Oregon's is 4-2. I think that's really important to take into account. I also think that we're going to look at Trey Jackson-Mann. He has 17.6 points per game, 6.2 rebounds, 2.6 assists. I think those stats. I mean, obviously it's not about one player ever, but looking at like one of your best players and looking at how they perform, I think that Purdue in general is just going to have a little bit more of an a better offensive game than Oregon is. I think it's going to be close, but I think they're going to take another conference game. I'll say by 3.
I'm actually going to go with the Ducks here. I think this game being in Eugene is very helpful. It's a big home court advantage in Oregon. You've got that cool court floor. I love the design. Messes with the away players' heads. Not that matters at all, but still, just wanted to shout it out. But Nate Biddle has been phenomenal for this Ducks team. He's just a monster, honestly. He can score. He gets rebounds. He plays good defense. And I think Oregon takes this one at home. I think it's a close game, but I got the Ducks here. And now we move into the NBA. We've got Lakers at Clippers. You could say at. It's in the new Intuit Dome, so it is a different stadium. But, of course, the Battle of LA. And we've actually got a doubleheader. So how many out of those 2 games do you think each team wins?
I think it'll be split. I mean, when I watch, how dynamic this new stadium is actually for the Clippers, I really like it. The Clippers wall, Steve Ballmer's done a great job of finding a way to separate himself from what is the LA Lakers fan base and all the star power that has surrounded this, illustrious franchise. I'll have the Clippers win this first game, but I do think that the Lakers and LeBron and AD will find a way to pull away in the second game. I do think it'll be a split. I say that order of Clippers, Lakers, but I can see either one really. The Lakers would win the first one too.
Yeah, that Intuit Dome is a really cool stadium, and I think it is a blueprint for what stadiums should look like in the future. Unfortunately, I think the stadium is better than the team. I'm going to go, shout out executive producer Michael Alvarez. I'm going to go Lakers win both of them. Anthony Davis is having a season we have not seen in a while, and it is really fun to watch. Anthony Davis, LeBron James, look for their supporting cast. I think they're just better. I know they're currently, I think, behind them in the record, but I think they're going to go into a team. Sure, the blue wall is going to have somewhat of a home field, but I expect Lakers fans to be there. It's the same city. I mean, let's be honest. Lakers fans are probably going to, fill up the rest of the stadium. So I think it's going to be the AD and Bron show. I think they're going to overpower. I don't think Clippers' offense is as good as the Lakers is, and I think this is a chance for the Lakers to kind of reassert some dominance after their little bit of a slide earlier in the season.
Yeah, I got 2 words for you. LeBron James. He's going to take this one. The Lakers are going to win both games. I agree with Tyler here. They've got 2 players averaging over 23 points. You got LeBron and AD, who's been having his most dominant season since the 2020 bubble. He's been really good this year. LeBron's been great. The ageless wonder still making it happen so late. And I think LeBron's going to show that right now he owns Los Angeles, and the Lakers fans are going to show out. We all know there's more Lakers fans than Clippers fans, and I think the Lakers get it done and win both. And lastly, we've got another NBA game, 2 great teams. It's the young Orlando Magic going against the juggernaut Boston Celtics in Boston. Who do you guys got?
I'm still waiting for a little bit more national respect for Paolo Banchero and the Orlando Magic, but Jamal Mosley has done a really wonderful job, I think, with this team, and especially since getting hired from the Dallas Mavericks. But I really do think the Boston Celtics will win this game, and not just because of the star power found with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, but really because of the other role players, guys like Peyton Pritchard, who could be legitimate, playmakers in other teams across the league. You saw he had a great shot a few nights ago as well, and kind of had Doc Rivers on his knees, just bent over, just very sad and stuff. But, players like that make the difference on championship rosters, and I really do think the Celtics will find a way to win this game. I think it'll be close, but fourth quarter you'll see why they're a championship roster yet again.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Magic are sneaky good. Paolo's coming off of that oblique injury, and he's, I think it's gonna be a little more time before he fully steps into what he could become. I know he's doing pretty good right now. I think it's gonna take some time. Unfortunately, I think the Celtics are just too good. Their top offensive players, to the shock of nobody, are Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And I think those 2 are going to be the reason why in the fourth quarter it's going to pull away a little bit. I think they're just too powerful of a team for a young team like the Magic to conquer just yet. especially with Paolo just coming off that oblique injury. I think it's going to be an overmatch. It's going to be close, but it's going to be an overmatch. I think Celtics take it.
Yeah, I mean, I do believe the Celtics team right now, very likely the best team in the league. Such a complete roster, so deep. But I'm actually going to go with the Magic here to get an upset in Boston. I think Paolo shows that he's one of the best players in the league, or one of the best future players in the league. He's just done it so well coming off that injury. He's going to prove on a national stage that he deserves more respect and that he's an all-star player. I think this Magic team, they're young, they're great, and I think they get the upset. And I think they prove that they can be competitive come playoff time.
Well, we're going to see how those pick'ems go out over the next couple of days. That is going to end the One of Sports show. Thank you so much to Joseph Duffy, our guest today on our pick'ems and our verses. Thank you to Santiago Ortiz, who came in for our trivia. Thank you to our executive producers, Santiago Ortiz and Michael Alvarez. Be sure to check out our sister shows. We have College Press Box coming out Tuesday nights at 6:30. College Crossfire on Wednesday nights at 9. What is happening in the control room?
I don't know.
That's not right. From everyone here at TSTV Sports, have a great weekend.
We'll see you.
We'll see you.
Come on, man.
And goodbye from Joseph today.
Oh, I didn't think it was
Because
messing around.
I can't say have